we have our Champions League finalists, Jules.
We do. Inter against Manchester City, June the 10th in Istanbul. We'll be there.
Absolutely. Inter's second final in the last 15 years, and Manchester City's second final in their entire history.
In the last 3 years. In the last 3 years. Second final in 3 years for City.
In their entire history.
Yeah, but in 3 years too.
I just let me get that trolling out of the way, because we know 99% chance Manchester City are favorites. Some might say even more. Jules, let's start with Manchester City and Real Madrid, because that was an absolute beatdown. And when the first 20 minutes went by, I said, okay, well, this is a little bit like the first leg at the Bernabeu, right? Where Real Madrid get hammered in terms of possession, chances, movement, and then they take the sting out of it and they ease into the game.
Yeah.
And you have, a more even game. But it didn't happen.
No, not this time, because I think City were too relentless, too good. From the first minute, you could feel, even within the stadium, that the nerves had disappeared, because he felt from the get-go, really, that City meant business so much that there was no way this Real Madrid side could cope with all the intensity, all the press, all the counter press. But yet, to see a first half like this, which for me is the best first half that a City team under Pep has ever played, one of the greatest first half that you will see in a very long time, to restrict Real Madrid, this Madrid side with Vinicius and Rodrigo and Modric and Kroos and Benzema, to a 0.01 XG in the first 45 minutes of the Champions League semi-final second leg, is just mind-blowing. And credit to City, to Guardiola, the way they approached the game, the way they started the game, because by being so relentless and never let really even just an inch to Real Madrid for Vinicius acceleration or for a 1-2 somewhere or for a long ball, I don't know, anything. There was just nothing that Real Madrid could do.
I think there's going to be a lot of focus on the press and the chances created in that first half. But what was entirely lacking in that first half from Real Madrid was the outball to Vinicius. And I think you have to give a ton of credit, because when you're under pressure, let's face it, right? Not hard. Boot the ball long, at least get some relief, right? You've got this guy who's super fast. And no, it's not just about Kyle Walker. The positioning, the way that when they lost the ball, they were in their faces immediately, so that they couldn't even get the ball out into space. I think that's a slightly underreported piece in this, right? Everybody's like, Walker, Vinicius. No. It's that collective defending that happens further up the pitch, and the forwards getting back into their faces. You mentioned the 0.01 XG.
Which is the Kroos shot on the...
Exactly. That's what it was. At 1-0, the Kroos rattles the crossbar. And immediately, and it was funny because a friend of mine texted me and says, oh, look, Real Madrid getting back into this. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's 2-0. They're being battered. And you realize because he had paused the game. He missed what happened afterwards. But I do wonder, though, psychologically, and we'll never know, if Ederson hadn't gotten his hand to it, if it had been a little bit slow, a little bit lower down, might that have changed? It's one of those unanswerables. But the point is, it didn't.
I don't know. Yeah.
And in terms of performance, I'm with you. It was absolutely devastating. And I think we have to do this, but is there anything Real Madrid could have done differently or on the day, or was City just too good?
No, I think City were too good to start with. However, and the viewers, the listeners know how much we love Carlo Ancelotti, and it's, as you always say, hindsight is 20/20 or whatever the expression.
Yeah, let's be clear on this. When we criticize managers, it doesn't mean we don't like them, right? So if you're going to be critical, if you're going to say something you could have done differently, it's not because we don't like them and we don't rate him and he's not a great manager. It's just simply he's probably asking himself these same questions today.
However, the Militao-Rudiger call, I think they could have played with 11 Rudigers. They would have lost anyway. But City were too good. Whether it's Militao, Rudiger, Beckenbauer, Maldini, anyway. Yeah. However, I did think that as brave as it was to play Rodrigo, Vinicius, Karim up front, and a midfield of 36 or 37-year-old Modric, Kroos, and Valverde, was very, very naive. That's why I thought when I saw the team, I didn't expect any changes. There were rumours in Madrid saying that, Valverde could play. They could put Camavinga in midfield, Alaba left back, what he did basically in the second half.
I don't like the word naive because it's not naive.
was.
It's a choice you make. It's not like, oh, look, I don't think they're going to be.
Okay, but what's the logic behind it then?
I think the logic behind them was it's not what they're expecting. And putting those more attacking players is we're not going to be bossed by the possession. And yet,
But they were. Because they
were.
played like that.
Absolutely, it didn't work. Absolutely, they were. We're going to break this down a little bit more on the Gab and Juls podcast. Lots to get into. And also, I think, legit questions. Pep's legacy.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.